Hi, I'm Chaz Kangas here for Speak Minneapolis, and Real Heads on the Rise will recognize my special guest today, coming into Minnesota at the Fine Line on August 15th, celebrating the 30th anniversary of their classic album, Dah Shinin, as well as a long catalog of hip hop classics. I am joined by Tek and General Steele, better known as Smif N Wessun. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us today.
Salute, salute.
Salute, salute,
Get
salute.
ready to rumble, baby. You got to do the
Twin
intro.
Cities.
So we have the celebration for this tour is celebrating 30 years of Dah Shinin, which comes up at the very start of next year. And also this summer in particular is the 30th anniversary of Bucktown as a single. So what do you think it is about those two particular releases that have allowed such a resonance within hip hop audiences that not only is it like a favorite of the time, but people continue to revisit it?
I think it's just we caught a groove with the beat miners. Um, we was in the trenches of the battlefield learning how to make good music, how to make good records and songs when going through trial and tribulation of Into the Stage album with Black Moon. So I think when it was our turn, we um we was blessed. We got a dope beat from a good groove from the beat miners. And that horn, that Jack Bruce horn is just it's just something about it that talks to your soul. I think that's why it's able to stick around because for different generations, it's probably saying different things to them. And with the lyrics that we came up with to put over it is just like a melodic symphony. You hearing and everything, hearing the voices, you hearing the instruments, and it just help you move.
You got to consider the fact that 92, I would say from 92 to 95 was an interesting time for music, for hip hop. It was a lot of great music coming out at that time, like a lot of new artists was coming out at that time, and it was a change for New York, almost like a resurgence. I guess that's why they refer to it as a golden era sometimes.
Yeah, and I think like around that time of New York too, on top of the fact that you had like the rise of, with Rap a Lot in the South and Death Row on the West Coast, and then you had like things feeling almost extra New York to that degree on the records and really rekindling a lot of the things that make New York powerful. And from an industry approach too, you had like the first real sample lawsuits, like really cranking down on the industry at that sort of time too. So, when making an album with those elements as part of it, did you feel like during the recording of it any additional pressure from either having to particularly represent New York at a time when the marketplace is getting that much more full of different sounds, or finding a groove that had to approach the sample and the reinterpolation of music and hip hop production?
Of course, and
Not
pause out. Go
yeah.
ahead.
I mean, to us, I don't think it was lingering in the forefront. Of course, we was aware of it, but we didn't let it hinder or stifle our creation to do what it did. Because there were a couple of things that didn't make the album. Like we had a joint called "None More But the Money," all about the cash that we couldn't clear the sample. So I don't. We knew it was there, but it wasn't an over a looming presence that we had to walk on eggshells through the recording. I think our team dug down at that time. They let us be creative with whatever we wanted to do. The beat miners supplied the background for it, and I think it was we they just allowed us to be the creators and artists that we are.
So, you have, the record on there, Bucktown that turns 30 this year. You also have Recognize, and that's on top of the additional later singles that you would have that would become crowd favorites like Super Brooklyn, My Tims Do Work, and so many of these songs that have like the response from the live crowd. So, do you have the live performance in mind when you're in the studio making a record, or is it just more so you make the record for the heads to listen to and then whatever works live works live?
We conscious creators, like both. Sometimes we'll hear something we just want to say, and we'll say it, and then it might turn into be something that's like it strikes a chord with it, where the fans will gravitate to it. And then sometimes we go in there, well, like Bucktown, for example, we knew we needed to create an anthem. We had Let's Get It On, we had Recognize, but we was like, we still need something. We need something. We need, what is it? What is, so we continue to create until we feel like we get that chord. I mean, keep in mind, we are fans of the culture. the creative aspect of it is like, yeah, we like to dance. We like things to grab us, so we know the importance of doing that. Create, definitely.
And it's like that's like a question that's in the industry. Do you like to create it more, or do you like to perform it more? It's like a double-edged sword right there, like almost an impossible answer. It can't be a right or wrong answer, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, and I'm sure they both have like the elements that are satisfying in different ways too.
Definitely.
You got we guys, we have like excuse me, right now counting the next one that's coming, that'll be 8 studio albums. We featuring on other projects with other guys. There's always a show that we go to where several people that go, let me hear this song, let me hear this song. These are songs that we have buried 1997, 1998. But these is somebody that's like, yeah, let me hear Maya Angelou. And it's like, wow. Or let me hear Hallucination. It's like, okay, people are tapping into different things. So we keep that in mind when we go to different cities. So we of course we got the songs that we're gonna you definitely gonna hear Bucktown. You know that. You most likely gonna hear Soundboy. But then there's other songs that we will implement in there because we know the energy might be a little bit different. Um, People like the Super Brooklyn because they're into more than Mario, or this might be more street. We're gonna hit them with That's Hard featuring Styles P. You know, we like to mix it up, and plus, we don't like to get stale with our show. It's fun. Like that's the reward of being able to get on the stage and see people respond in real time. That's like wow, adrenaline rush right there.
I'm sure. And you mentioned different audiences interested in different songs of yours, which calls to mind that on this particular tour, so many of these shows are going to be overseas in Europe. So,
Yeah.
in your experiences, how different are American crowds from European crowds? And have you noticed like a particular change in how receptive European crowds have been over the past few decades?
I mean, it's not really much of a difference because when you love the music, you love it. The only difference is the language barrier. Now, if we was talking about a few years ago where overseas didn't get the record until 6 months from now when we put the record out, it's not like that anymore. So due to technology, you get it at the same time everyone else get it. So you get to sit with the new music, you get to learn it, you know the vocals, you know your feelings, the way you want to posture on certain words. So it's not really, to me personally, it's not really that much of a difference. It's just, you know, you fall away from home besides the language barrier because the music is the music.
Yeah. I mean, in addition to that, you can feel it because you can feel it feels pure. Not to say that doesn't feel pure in the States. I think that the difference in the States is where like you get to see your heroes. You might go walk go to the chicken spot and see one of these rappers in the chicken spot and be like, yo, let me get a selfie. Like if you go to a place in Tilburg or you go to Berlin, these guys is not really walking around that readily and that accessible. So it's still like that fantastic that fantastic voyage where you go, wow, I seen this guy. I seen Tek in person. He was in the chip shop. Yo, this is crazy. Y'all just was listening to your song. So, and it happens to us too. But I think that New York in particular, we have this hard shell where it's like, nah, we don't, we just get a head nod. We're like, ah, yo, what up? Yo, we see our heroes, we give a head nod, a fist bump. Whereas it's a little bit more of freedom to show love overseas because you don't get to see these guys as much. But that's just from a perspective. But other than that, man, love is love, and it's always good to see. Because you might go in there and be like, yo,
Love is love.
lives here. Like, what do they do here? What are they? I was just seeing a bunch of goats and cows. Like, they be listening to hip hop. What's going on? Like, what? And then you go there and you see people that's just like you, that people that just love good music and want to party with their friends and have a good time. What's even more interesting is to see the age ranges that we perform in front of now. Right? It's trippy to see mother and father, son and daughter, son and father, like generations who come to a Smif N Wessun show. Like that's nothing that we ever perceived. You know,
Hmm.
we just thought it was like it's gonna be this type of crowd, it's gonna be some hardcore guys that grew up with us. But you get to see man, women, and child, like children come to shows parents are bringing their kids. I'm like, wow, this is great.
Yeah,
This is
boot camp click's a family affair.
yeah, we
Yeah,
love kids.
you know it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, in addition to the 30th anniversary of Dah Shinin next year, we're also approaching the 20th anniversary of the Tek and Steele Reloaded album. And in that era of hip hop, I think particularly of like East Coast New York hip hop, the 3 album triple threat that came out that year with the Sean Price Monkey Bars, the Buckshot and Ninth Wonder Chemistry album, and then the Reloaded album was one of the most memorable visual rollouts that hip hop experienced, probably of that decade. And
Mm.
there hasn't been so much like written about like the impact, even though I think visually everyone who was around at that time definitely remembers it vividly. So I'm curious, what were your memories that time of that approach to the rollout, and how do you feel it was handled?
We one thing I could say, our team, our support team, has always been there for us and ducked down a lot of the times and been ahead of the game and ahead of their time. Even when it came to signing artists, even when it came to social media, like one of the first independent labels to have a newsletter circle around in the industry. Uh, we had remote control trucks at Jack the Rapper and How Can I Be Down conventions. So, like you said, it's family oriented, and it was always thinking about the people and the fans and family that was out there that was supporting and showing us the support and who we was doing it for. So I think that was, like you said, one of the best rollouts. And you never get your flowers until it's already said and gone, right? So you're not looking at it like, oh, I remember when it did or when it happened this time. So maybe a couple of years from now, it'll be come back around and be like, yo, that shit was crazy the way y'all did it. Plus the cartoon out, it was just, the artwork was superior, and the albums was fire. So you couldn't have one without the other.
Yeah, that was the time when Tech and I were first introduced to Ninth Wonder and Crisis and all the brothers out there. And Buck had already had a relationship. Sean Price had already had a relationship, and Drew High. So Drew High is a good guy, man. He pressed them buttons, and a lot of beautiful things can happen. So salute to Echo. I think one of the artists was working with Echo at the time, and we've been doing Echo since the beginning, rocking the t-shirts and all that stuff. It was dope. I love the poster too. When you put all the things together, you gotta have all 3, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Collect them all. Yeah, and I think too, around that time, how many of your contemporaries were said, yeah, we got this album lineup, and they'll announce like things that happen, and then just they wind up for many reasons, oftentimes out of their control, just not happening. And you all completely delivered. All 3 came out, all 3 in the roll down, the respective dates, and then you have like this full 3 album like feature, and it's and I just remember people trying to get their hands on like the full poster up in Fat Beats of the full all the arts. So
Yeah, man. That
Collector's edition.
yeah, it's fun. That's part of the whole experience.
Mm.
We always want to make something that people will want to hold and keep in their homes. I think that's one of the part of things of what you asked earlier about as far as longevity. Like you gotta create something that the people can feel like that's theirs. We don't want to have this divide between us when we talk about rapper and fan. Like we want to be able to have a conversation with you through our music, through our poetry, and have an understanding. Like Sean Price is one of the realest guys. His honesty brings his fans closer to him. Like nobody raps like this guy. You know what I mean? He can talk about my teeth is yellow, and then I'm the brokest rapper, and then my life is messed up, and meanwhile he becomes successful while doing that. No one other than like an Eminem can talk about their life, the disparities in their life in such a way where we laugh at it. Like to us, he's like Sean Price is the boot camp click Richard Pryor, and then we aspire to have these honest songs so we can really sit down with our fans and just be there with them throughout this whole journey.
Yeah. And you mentioned the Ninth Wonder connection. Ninth Wonder did your full 2019 album. And
Yes.
yep. And
Mhm.
yep. And then we have for the Shine, in which the Beat Mine has held the entirety of the production on that. So as a duo, I'm curious, what's the difference for both of you in terms of working with just one producer on an album versus working with a number of producers?
I love that.
Um, the, the difference to me is, is like when you're working with one producer, after you get a couple of joints in under your belt, y'all both create a feeling like it's a boxing match. After the 3-4 rounds, the fighters feel each other out. Now you can adapt, or I can throw a hook here, or I can do jab, jab, move and get closer, time in his head bobbing and everything. And I think with more than one producer, it's more of, it becomes almost like an explanation game. Something oh, well, I'm looking for this vibe. I want to try to match it up with this. And I got this song. Whereas with just one producer, y'all already there. Y'all together on everything. Y'all on the same page, and you rocking and rolling. But again, it all goes back to the music. If the music is dope, you can have 10 producers, 12 producers. It doesn't even matter. And look at We Are the World.
Mhm.
Don't forget Monumental with Pete Rock.
Mhm. Oh yeah. Yep.
It's dope to sit with a producer. Like, it's so much talent out there, you can get overwhelming. But when you sit with someone, it's like having a Thanksgiving dinner as opposed to fast food. You're gonna sit through all the elements of this food. You got like 4 different sides, and then you got stuff that you can't even fit on your plate. So you got to take your time to get through it. And when you digest it, you just want to go to sleep because you just feel so satisfied.
The itis.
And like, knowing nothing, because these guys put us on the game, Mr. Walt, Evil D, primarily Mr. Walt, because Mr. Walt literally had us in the basement. Salute the Mama Dugard, you know what I mean? Who tolerated us in that basement. So we saw some magnificent things with like, it was the dungeon for us. It was dark. I almost don't remember no light.
You couldn't smoke in there, nothing.
You couldn't smoke. You had to go outside in the freezing cold.
And the snow.
You know what I mean? It's like, we did it though. We want to smoke so bad. We're gonna hurry up, let's go. It teach you to be tough in the whole. It teach you resilience, and it's like, wow. It's not only you're learning like how to rap and write bars, but you're learning how to be strong within the game and accept the blessings of, like, this is a producer. Other than that, who's giving you beats? Don't be like stepping into the game like, I want Premier, I want the top guys, I want this guy, that guy, that guy. We had to work to achieve the level to gain that respect, to be able to rhyme on these type of tracks. And hopefully we did well enough that these guys are like, yeah, I'll work with these guys. So getting up to a night one, it's like, yeah, this guy is a Grammy-nominated, Grammy-winning guy. Like, work with the top people, and so are we. So we on that plane. So we keep that mentality as we go on, and we eager to see what happens. No egos.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to hearing, selections from the entire Smif N Wessun catalog coming up on August 15th at the Fine Line here in Minneapolis. And given, you mentioned so many great albums, and of course the boot camp and like Duck Down compilations and the guest appearance you all have appeared on. That in mind, do you both have like any particular songs you're really proud of in terms of like a certain verse you had, or maybe even like a full song that you wish was more well known amongst your fan base? Like maybe like the hidden gems or the maybe like more obscure ones?
Yeah.
Wow, that's tough.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man, it's so many. Yo, you see, that's a great question, because right now we're going on tour, right? Excuse me. We put out a call to our audience to say, anybody that's in the town near you that we're going to be at, hit us on Real Smif N Wessun on Instagram and let us know what songs you like to hear. We have a ton of music, and I know somebody got something that might not do often. So we are now just we writing the program. We rewriting the program. We know you always gonna get the Bucktown. We proud of Bucktown because you can't go to no show and not do Bucktown. You can't go to no show and not do Bucktown. You can't. You got to do Mary. You got to do I Shine, You Shine, because it's the Still Shining tour. We got to do that. So and there's so many other gems that we mix and match. We take things from Rude Awakening, we take things from the old. We might spit a song from the album. We might take the D&D classic, Sound Clash, and throw it in there. We want to make it exciting every time. We want to make it where people go, yo, you didn't see that one at this show. You didn't see that one at that show. Like, yo, y'all got to come back. So make it like that.
All right. Wow. Spectacular.
I would say performing. We performed one time with the great Mary J. Blige in Barclay Brooklyn Stadium, and that was the most nervous I've ever felt in my whole career.
Really?
Felt like I was gonna pass out.
Was because of the stadium or like where Barclay was at that point?
Yes, the energy was massive. I felt like I was in outer space. Like the people, it was light, so it felt like you're just in space. And then you had this great person, Mary J. Blige. She just looked like a heavenly angel. And you going out there in that and start rapping. Rap leaves your body. It's just straight spiritual shit right now. At this point, you just start floating. And we performed that song. It had to be hundreds of times, but that time seemed like the first time. And then to see the lights. I didn't see no people. I had to just focus on like emptiness to feel the fullness. That was one of the best. And I think since that day, I think I performed that song differently every time since then.
Wow. Yeah, because Barclay, just the shape of it and the build of it, I've always been curious how it is to be on that stage and what the effect of the sound is like on there.
Oh man, yeah. And you with the Queen.
Mm-hmm.
So get to see that after all this time. You've never seen that ever. That's the thing that keep us. You might have fell down. You might have been down. You might have been depressed. You might have been out of the loop. You might not have. Some of the songs might not have been hitting or clicking. You might not have been working. You might not have been hitting the road. But then it's these milestones that you hit that kind of fills that up or refills your tank a little bit and go. You had a spot or a time where you needed to process what was going on and what needs to go on. But you are important. So you got to push through. So this is why this tour is really important for us. Coming into 50 years, coming into our 30 years of celebrating. It's like looking back, I'm like, wow, 30? It's like I gotta go back. I gotta sit down and look at this, man. And we've been to Minneapolis probably 10 years, 15 maybe. It's a long time.
A long time.
So to be accepted to come back, we coming to turn all the way up and have super fun and be elevated in the spot. Looking forward to it for sure.
I'll tell you, the last time we out there was the time we met Prince. Actually, that was the last time.
Festival.
Yeah, that was the last time.
Yeah, you met Prince out here?
Yeah.
What's the? I have to ask now. What's the story with that?
Oh man, it was. I rarely get starstruck, but I definitely was starstruck there, and it was just, you always hear the talk of the industry. Oh, he's this short and his voice this, and he dresses like this, but it was just like, nah, all that shit goes out the window. You're like, this is the great. This is the great. So it doesn't even matter. But it was just a cool couple of words, handshake. He went to his VIP, we went to ours, and we just had fun the rest of the night. And so
that's awesome. Yeah, because we were just hitting the 40th anniversary of Purple Rain out here, and just went and visited all the shooting locations, which you can't help but see when you come into Minneapolis. So
yeah, I mean, the great lake of, what is it, Minnetonka?
Minnetonka, yeah.
Have you bathed in Minnetonka yet?
Purified in the waters.
Purified in the waters in Minnetonka.
Yeah. Man, we actually tracked down the lake that is not Lake Minnetonka that you went into, which is the Minnesota River, which is 48 minutes outside of Minneapolis. But it looks exactly the same as it did when he and Apollonia were there, because it's in like such like a backwards part of it that I'm sure like the roads are still dirt outside of it. So I think they
Oh
pretty much
wow.
chose there because they knew that no one would bother them while they were filming it because
Uh-huh.
it's such a pain to get to. But yeah,
And
you
look
know,
how famous, infamous this became.
yeah,
You said like a half an hour outside of Minneapolis.
oh, longer, like full 45, 48 minutes
Oh
out.
yeah,
Yeah, so
Wow.
it's yeah.
we wouldn't have no time to go out there. It'd be ill. We just do
And go purify.
Yeah.
that.
But you're close to like, so like you're gonna be within 2 blocks or you're within 4 blocks of First Avenue where most of the movie was shot. You're 2 blocks
Mm.
from the club that used to be the Taste, where the scene with like the Apollonia Six performing is. You're gonna be able to see a
What
lot
a,
of rain
what
things.
about the house they lived in?
Yeah, you are actually only about a 10-minute drive. Like I can send your people like the exact address of the house for that too, because we tracked down.
Definitely. Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, they have a
Definitely.
fence put up in front of it, but so you need to get kind of creative to get a photo with the house in the background. But it's definitely
Mm,
did it. So yeah, I'll send you the full itinerary we have. So even if it does work,
yeah.
check out the not Lake Minnetonka. You know, you'll be coming in or
Nah,
coming out that way. So
that's dope. That's dope.
well, once again, Smif N Wessun, thank you so much. This has been tremendous, and I'm looking forward to celebrating 30 years of Dah Shinin with you on August 15th at the Fine Line. Gentlemen, this has been wonderful.
Here we come.
Yeah.
Salute.